Welcome to Healing Echoes. Today we have with us Navi Bliss. Navi is the demystifier of personal relationships, cultivator of confidence, certified love and relationship coach, certified inspirational speaker, and host of the Blissful Love podcast. She is a contributing author in two number one best-selling books, Our Yellow Brick Road and Healing and Growth. Her first solo book, Broken to Blissful, is coming out April 2024. She has been featured on Global News, CTV, A Plus Media, and Chicken Soup for the Soul. Navi is also the Chief People Officer at Thriving Women Network. Growing up with a mother who was physically and emotionally abusive left Navi with a tattered sense of self and low self-esteem. This sent her on a path of horrible, toxic, and abusive relationships until she reached her breaking point in 2016 after walking away from an abusive relationship. After going on a healing journey, Navi was able to flip the script on her own life and is now determined to help others do the same. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I'm really excited for our conversation today. Um, so obviously from the intro, your journey, you've kind of experienced or have experienced child abuse and are now a love coach. Could you start by sharing pivotal moments that kind of led you from one experience to the next?
Yeah. I grew up with a mom that was physically and emotionally abusive towards me. And so I never developed that sense of self-worth or self-esteem, right? Which led me to looking for it outside of myself. I just wanted someone to love me. I wanted that validation. And then I thought I found it at one point in my life. I was married. And, when I met my husband and he chose me and he loved me, I thought, okay, this is the end of everything because now someone has chosen me and they're loving me and they're proving everything that my mom is saying about me wrong. Except that marriage ended when he had a child with somebody else and while we were married. And that sent my self-esteem to an even lower place because this confirmation that I thought I had of my worth was actually now a confirmation of all of the things that my mom had been saying about me, or in my mind, it was a confirmation of that, right?
Right.
So it sent me tumbling even lower. And so let's just say I started negative 100, now I'm at negative 200 after
Mm.
this. And it sent me searching for love and validation even harder outside of myself, right? That led me to two abusive relationships in my life. And when I got out of the second relationship, I realized that I got out by luck, by grace, and that it could never happen again. That it could not happen again. And so I had to take responsibility. Like it wasn't my fault what had happened to me, but I wasn't that child anymore. And I was choosing what I was allowing into my life. And I knew that I had to heal and I knew that I had to fix this so this wouldn't happen again. And if I couldn't, that I was actually better off to be alone than I was to be in another abusive relationship. So that's me on a journey where that included therapy and then it included coaching. And when I got to a place where I actually fell in love with myself and actually started to feel good in my own skin, it was just a wow moment for me because I didn't know that was possible. I didn't know that it was possible to just wake up and feel good in your own skin. And I realized that that's what I'd been seeking my whole life. But in finding that, not only did I start to magnetize really healthy relationships, including romantic relationships, but all relationships in my life, I just realized that that was the key. Instead of seeking this outside of myself, once you have that, that helped me find my purpose because I'm passionate about helping other people do the same thing. Because when you stand in your worth, then you become a magnet for the things that you want. So be that the romantic relationship, your soulmate or your soulmate client in your business, you just become a magnet. And it's because you're not coming from a place of needing something outside of yourself. It's coming from a place of just radiating who you are so you can attract who's meant to come into your life.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's like once you have that, it all has to start within. So once you go within, like you said, it's like a magnet, it just pulls it all to you. I love that. In your coaching practice, when you're working with other people, do you have any specific tools or strategies that you use to kind of get them to that point as well?
Yeah, there's so many different tools that I use, and they're really specific to each person because not everyone's journey is the same.
Right.
I'll use breathing exercises, meditation, somatic exercises, tapping, a lot of different things. But the foundation of my work is based in the 4 pillars of confidence, because this sort of applies across the board and helps everyone build confidence. So, my 4 pillars of confidence, the first one is to live your values. So, you can't be somebody that you love until you are living your values. So, where people get stuck on this is, one, they might not even be aware of their values. So, one is just taking the time to get clear on what your values are. Two, you might have values that are contradicting other values that you have, right? So, you might really value freedom, fun, and joy, but you also might value financial success. And you might have given up on freedom, fun, and joy in the pursuit of financial success, right? And so, in giving up on those values, it's really hard for you to love yourself and to love your life. And so, it's finding that balance. And for other people, it could be things like you value kindness and you're not being kind, and that includes to yourself, right? So it's really hard to love yourself when you value kindness and you're not living that value. So that's my first pillar of confidence, is to get clear on your values and to start living your values. And if you don't know what they are, the first step is simply exploration. The second one is to live your passions. So you can't love yourself if you're not in love with your life. If you think that you have a boring, dreary, dull life, very hard for you to love yourself and to love your life. And now, what is exciting and joyful is completely subjective. So what is going to feel that way to you won't necessarily feel that way to me, but it doesn't matter. It's what you have to have, a life that's joyful for you. So if you are in a position where you're stuck in a job that perhaps you don't find that job to be joyful and you need that job right now to pay your bills, you have to create another way for you to live your passions. So maybe you love to dance. So you're going to take dance classes once or twice a week, right? And that's going to be really exciting to you. For someone else, it could be like video games and you're going to join some video game club. It could be, for someone else, it could be knitting. For someone else, it could be adventure, travel, whatever it is. But you need to incorporate those things as a regular part of your routine, because think of how you're going to speak about your life to other people, right? If you're just like, I went to work and at this job that I hate, and then I came home and I watched TV and I went to bed. Like, how are you going to be able to love your life and radiate confidence to other people? Whereas, like, even if you had that job, but you don't make it the focus anymore, and you make these other things the focus, and you talk about all of these things, now you're lighting up from within and you're becoming this beacon of confidence, right? And the more of those things that you add, and slowly that will start to also help you to shift to, even if you, like I said, if you have a job that isn't your passion, it'll help you to be able to shift towards something that is, right? My third pillar of confidence is to cultivate self-trust, because you can't love somebody that you don't trust. And that includes yourself. It starts with yourself, right? So this is getting clear on all of the times that you're lying to yourself. So, are you telling yourself that you're going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do a 2-hour workout before you go to work? And then every single morning you hit snooze and you never do it? You've broken all of that trust from yourself. And how you start to counteract this is, a lot of times we're breaking these promises to ourselves because we're making these really lofty promises, and we're making them because we hate where we are right now so much and we want this 180 change. But it's not, change doesn't happen like that. Change is always incremental. But the thing is, when you feel really bad, even when you have that 1% change, you're going to start to notice it, right? So a lot of times it's just setting more realistic promises to yourself. So maybe instead of saying that you're going to do that 2-hour workout in the morning, could you say, I'm going to wake up 2 minutes earlier and I'm going to do 10 push-ups? Is that something that you could guarantee yourself that you're going to do?
Right.
Every day that you do that, you're going to feel better. And that's an example of one promise, right? For each person, the promises that you're breaking to yourself are going to be different, right? Maybe you're wanting to write a novel and you promise yourself every single week, every single month that you're going to start, and you never start, right? If you just start and you say, okay, I'm going to write a paragraph a day, how
Right.
good are you going to feel just by doing that, by keeping that promise to yourself, right? It still might take you some time to get to where you're going, but now you're keeping those promises, you're building that belief in yourself. So they're different for every single person, but cultivating self-trust is a big one. My last pillar of confidence is practice loving kindness towards yourself. And this is in 4 areas that you have to do this. So every single day. So the first is you have to do something for your mental health every single day. The second is you have to do something for your physical health every single day. The third is you have to do something for your spiritual well-being every single day. And the fourth is you have to do something for your aesthetic well-being every single day. And for your mental health and well-being, again, for any of these areas, these can be very small things. You could take 5 minutes and you could journal. It could be going to a therapy session that day. It could be going for a walk. It could be calling a friend. It could be really anything, but just one thing a day that you're doing for your mental health and well-being.
Right.
For your physical health and well-being, again, one thing. It doesn't have to be crazy. If we're going into the holidays and you know you're not going to be exercising, you know you're not going to be eating well, could you just make a promise to yourself that you're going to eat one fruit or vegetable every single day? That could be the thing that you do, right? You're going to feel better when you do it, right? To do one nourishing, kind thing for your physical well-being. Could be going for a short walk, just really anything it doesn't have to be big, but something for your physical well-being. For your spiritual well-being, again, super personal, different for everybody, right? If you're religious, this could be participating in something religious for yourself. If you're not, this could be like a 1 minute of breath work or meditation or connecting with nature, just anything, but something for your spiritual well-being every single day. And the last one is something for your aesthetic well-being, because you're not going to feel good if you're not taking care of yourself. Now, I don't mean you have to go full glam and wear 6-inch shadows every single day, but you need to be clean and fresh every single day. If you haven't washed your hair in 5 days and you're wearing the same old dirty, stinky sweats, there's no way that you're going to feel good or feel confident. And that is not you showing up and actively loving yourself by doing that, right? So, the basics of this are just be fresh and clean, that if you were to run into somebody, if you were to have a conversation with somebody, you would feel good about that. Like you feel presentable, and whatever further you want to take it, go with it, right? That's completely subjective, but those are the basics. And then sort of the last one, it's not a pillar of confidence, but in implementing these, how you would end up with a lot of confidence is anything that we focus on, we develop an affinity for. Okay. A lot of times when we get fixated on another person or another thing, it's because we've given it our attention. And if anyone has any like questions about this or they doubt this, I always have people do this exercise. I'm like, go out to the park and look for like an insect, like an ant or something like that. Stare at it for half an hour. After a half hour, you're going to care about this ant. If someone's about to step on it, you're going to feel some sort of way. And this is something that you wouldn't even have noticed before. So imagine all of this time that you're spending on self-exploration for yourself and the type of affinity it's going to cause you to develop for yourself in doing that.
Yeah. You're starting to focus on it. So you actually care finally. 2 points. I really like how you mentioned that like it's really important, especially for people who have had trauma, especially self-love is such a foreign concept for them, that it's okay if it's something small or something simple, and that a lot of times it's even better to start that way, because then you're not letting yourself down, And that the trust with yourself is also something that I was like, I latched onto because that's really, really important. I know in my own journey, that's kind of where the self-love had to start because I didn't even trust myself. I'd lied to myself so many times about so many varying things that it's really important to start on those small levels. Give yourself something that you know you can accomplish. I love that idea, that you're allowing people to have that grace for themselves is just awesome. Self-love can be complex and evolving as a concept. So how do you personally define self-love?
So I would define self-love as being able to just be present in your body and be comfortable. That's what it is, right? And sometimes that means that you're going to experience exuberance and joy and excitement about being in your body, and sometimes it just means that you have comfort in being in your body, and that's really the basis of it, as opposed to hatred and dysregulation.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then I think my last question was dealing with clients specifically that have had trauma or abuse in their life. Um, is there any guidance that you give them specifically to kind of get there or overcome that so that they can get to self-love? Is there any like something specific to them?
Yeah, I mean, well, the first thing is when people delve into the world of self-improvement, right, they can trigger even more of their trauma, right? They can actually use that as like a way to punish themselves, to hate themselves, to think, okay, well, these are all the things I've been doing wrong for all of this time, right? And the first thing that you need to do is just be really, really kind to yourself. You didn't know what you didn't know. And the fact that you're taking a step, that's amazing. That's amazing. You're moving in the right direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it, like, there's so much more that goes into loving yourself. But my 4 pillars, right, that I mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
they're not based on these extrinsic things, right? Because a lot of times it can be like, like the focus can be on really superficial things. And I'm not discouraging people from loving the superficial, right? But when you're coming from a place of trauma, it is a very, very hard to start there, right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's like when you break it down to things like passions or values, or like those things
Mm-hmm.
are easier because we have a lot less judgment attached around those things.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if you start with those, which technically are seen as like going within, it builds out, like you're saying. Then you turn around, you realize you have the confidence for the outside as well. Um, I love it. I love like how you speak about it. You can see the passion that you have for it, how you want to affect people and you want to help them. And I just love that you light up talking about it yourself. It's amazing. Um, and then I wanted to say, like, obviously, absolutely I'm not happy that you ever went through anything or ever had any trauma or anything like that. Obviously, I wish nobody had to experience it, but I love that you did take it. You took your own experience, and you used it for the better. And I think you coming from that place of firsthand knowledge of knowing how hard it is definitely shows in your passion for what you do. And I'm sure it definitely helps your clients as well because it's more relatable. They're like, okay, well, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I wouldn't go back and relive any of the things that I've gone through, but I don't regret them. At this point in my life, I don't regret them because, I like to quote Eminem to be like, I guess I had to go to that place to get to this one.
Yep. That's beautiful. I love that outlook. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Sometimes it's a journey for a reason. So yeah, I love that. I love that you just referenced Eminem. Um, so in wrapping up, I know, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to say anything else that maybe you had, a short little message that you wanted to add or a way for people to find you. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this and you're feeling really stuck and you're feeling like you're hopeless, I want you to know that is absolutely not the case. And the fact that you're willing to reach out and even listen to a podcast like this shows that, there's a higher self, you have a higher self, there's a future version of you that believes in you and believes in your capacity to heal. So just in that and trust that you can get through whatever you're going through.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Like I said, your passion for what you do definitely shines through, and I think there's a lot of people that need to hear your message. So I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, and for anyone that listened all the way through, thank you so much for the time to listen. I really appreciate it.